There's a generation everyone forgets about. They don't complain, they don't post, they just exist in the middle, doing the work while everyone else argues. And their psychology? It's darker and more fascinating than you think. Generation X, born roughly between 1965 and 1980. They're your older coworkers who never complain, your parents who seem oddly detached, the people who built the internet but don't post about their breakfast. Their psychology is probably the most misunderstood of any living generation. They were the first generation of latchkey kids on a massive scale. Picture this, it's 1978. You're 8 years old, coming home to an empty house because both your parents are working. No smartphone, no Ring cameras, no way for anyone to check if you're okay. You let yourself in, make yourself a snack, do your homework alone, and wait. By 1984, approximately 7 million children between ages 5 and 13 were regularly unsupervised after school. That's an entire generation learning you can't always count on someone being there. That empty house drilled in the idea that actions have real consequences, ones you can't talk your way out of. When their parents showed up, the rules hit hard and fast. Nobody cared about how you felt. Step out of line and you paid for it right then and there. This created what researchers call a high contingency environment, where actions and outcomes were directly linked. Your brain learned to predict consequences in real time, which is why Gen X tends to think 3 steps ahead. Gen X watched their parents talk about stability, then rack up divorce rates through the 70s and 80s. They saw people give their all to companies only to get pink slips. Everyone said, work hard, follow the rules, and life will work out. But then the rules just changed. Psychologists call it defensive pessimism. Gen X calls it being realistic. They built up emotional armor. They hope for good things, but expect the rug to get pulled out because that's what kept happening. That's why you barely hear them on social media. They grew up when privacy was normal. When you messed up, maybe a handful of people knew. No phones, no viral videos. The idea of blasting your life out for strangers doesn't feel exciting. It feels risky. They learned early on that the less people know about you, the safer you are. Gen X turned irony into a shield. Crack a joke, keep things at arm's length, laugh it off before it stings. They grew up in the shadow of the Cold War when teachers talked about nuclear war like it was just another rainy day. Duck and cover drills as if a desk would save anyone. When adults act like everything's about to explode, but insist you shouldn't worry, you learn to hold 2 clashing ideas at once. Despite all this, Gen X developed a distinctive work approach. They don't talk about it. They don't post about it. They just do it. This work ethic was forged through jobs that seem archaic now. Paper routes at 5 a.m., bagging groceries, working registers where you calculated change in your head when the machine broke. Raw introductions to the adult world. They watched their parents get destroyed by corporate restructuring, so they never believed in company loyalty, but they're fiercely loyal to their own competence. They can't control whether they'll get laid off, but they can control whether they're the most valuable person in the room when layoffs happen. There's a weird paradox at the core of Gen X psychology. They're simultaneously the most independent generation and the most quietly collaborative. They'll never ask for help. Been doing that since they were 8. But if you need help, they'll show up without drama or social media posts about it. Their relationship with authority is complicated. They respect competence, not titles. If you've earned your position through actual skill, they'll follow you anywhere. If you're just someone with a fancy job title who doesn't know what they're doing, they have 0 patience. Gen X questions authority because they watched incompetent authority figures make terrible decisions. From Watergate to Iran-Contra to the fumbled AIDS crisis. They faced serious economic headwinds. The youngest graduated right into the dot-com bubble burst. The oldest were hitting their stride when the 2008 financial crisis hit. They've been economically traumatized repeatedly, which is why they're more likely to have multiple income streams. Not because they're entrepreneurial, but because they learned nothing lasts. Before the internet, knowledge had a different weight. Gen X spent hours in libraries, hunting through card catalogs for a single book. Information had a physical cost, and because of that, they valued what they learned differently. They learned to fix things with their hands. When your bike chain slipped, you didn't call a technician. You flipped the bike upside down, got grease on your hands, and figured it out. Generation X might be the last generation that truly understands what it means to be alone with your thoughts, to be bored, to solve problems without Googling the answer. They're not better than other generations, just different, shaped by a unique moment when the old world was dying and the new one hadn't quite been born. They're the bridge generation, and bridges don't get much recognition. They're just there, quietly doing the work, holding everything together, expecting nothing back. And maybe that's the most Gen X thing of all, not needing anyone to notice. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more deep dives. And if you want to support the channel, hit that join button. It means a lot.